The air reeked of stale coffee made at 7:35 a.m. Harold slapped the microwave's off button, 10 years old and already whining like an aggravated hornet. A Costco blueberry muffin spun behind fogged glass as he counted toaster ticks like he used to count stress points in bridge girders. 34 clicks normal, 42 meant trouble. Left the damn TV on again, he muttered, palm flat against the cold screen. CNN anchors debated another recession, but the Sony Trinitron stayed chilly. He kept there droning through the nights. Better than silence, ringing with memories of Mom's Valium bottles clinking in the medicine cabinet. His Apple Watch buzzed angrily. 125 BPM, 2 red rings pulsing urgency. He shoved it into his bathrobe pocket alongside nitroglycerin pills and a yellowed Titanic ticket from the AMC Sunday matinee. Board meeting at 9 meant suiting up in his office armor. LL Bean Oxford, that duck-patterned tie Martha from accounting gave him last birthday, worn out of Midwestern politeness. The muffin revealed mold creeping like Vermont's border on his childhood classroom map. He snapped off the green-tinged half, burying it under expired Horizon organic milk in the trash. Raspberry jam turned bitter on his tongue. Weathers, he began at the Exxon counter. Clear skies till 7, 0 precipitation, Denise completed mechanically, 3 espresso machines reflecting in her bifocals. Her purple mohawk lay flattened today. Must have sprung for that new suave gel. He nodded like spring of 23 mattered, stepping into Peterbilt horn blasts. His 12 Ford F-150 coughed to life. The Eagles Hotel California died mid-chorus, replaced by a Boca Raton Botox ad. Your second act starts now. The iron Geritol bridge plans blinked on his Dell monitor. CAD renders of the Winooski River crossing blurred with the actual cracks outside. Same fissures he'd patched with spreadsheets for 3 decades. Harold tapped his Ticonderoga against stress graphs. Spotify shuffled from David Hume essays to Vivaldi, triple screens flickering like empty Buffalo apartments. Use my credentials, Harold pointed. Anderson, B-team. The kid spun his ID badge, brushing Cheeto dust off the keyboard. Sick. They really let y'all work without 2-factor back then. His lip ring glittered. No offense. But most legacy guys your age are, on the retirement plaques. Harold eyed the unopened shoebox of letters. 10 envelopes bearing Mom's looping Harold. Last one came 7 years back. He wiped keyboard grit as a screensaver fish swam endless laps. The Nest thermostat chirped gratitude for his energy savings. Another muffin awaited rotation. He perched on the lazy boy's edge, where a Jack Daniel's 05 stain still outlined Lake Champlain. Fox News growled about Social Security cuts. 60% of female retirees return to work citing isolation. The anchor clacked stats like abacus beads. Harold reached for the remote but grabbed the letters instead. The envelope crinkled like Mom's black dress at Dad's funeral. Inside, he knew he'd find clipped report cards, her Toll House cookie recipe, that final card asking, "Sweetie, why so lonesome?" His finger hovered at the seal as his pocket pulse monitor wheezed. Harold never opened the letter. His pulse thudded against his ribs like a broken metronome, forcing him to withdraw his finger from the envelope's seal. The kitchen suddenly became an elevator shaft plummeting through memories. The scent of his mother's honey-glazed gingerbread cookies she baked every Christmas Eve, her voice reading Steinbeck's The Grapes of Wrath by the hearth, the monogrammed handkerchief, HJA, he'd found balled in her winter coat after the funeral. He shoveled the stack of letters back into their shoebox, shoving it beneath the couch like hiding a murder weapon. The refrigerator droned a funeral dirge. Harold yanked the door open, hoping for the jar of dill pickles. Denise's last birthday gift to him. Instead, the mottled face of expired milk glared back. "Sell by March 12th, he muttered, eyes jumping to the Labrador Retriever calendar. April's lopsided grin mocked him, 2 weeks deep into Easter leftovers. His hand moved of its own accord toward the cordless phone. 3 weeks since the paramedics came, 3 days lost in hospital linen, 3 minutes with the cardiologist pitching stents like a used car salesman. Forehead pressed against the freezer's frost-rimmed glass, he resumed his nightly ritual. Fingers brushed past overdue electric bills touching the expired jam. Best by July 2021. A 7-year-old rye loaf fossilized in plastic. 7 bills. 9 frozen pizzas. A German chocolate bar bought post-funeral. Father's 2014. All cataloged like bridge trust calculations, devoid of expiration date metaphors. 624,833, crackled the sacred number from his retirement portfolio printouts. Knees creaked like old floorboards as he sank onto the linoleum. The Fidelity Investments logo blurred into muddy watercolors, a river where he could buy a Sarasota condo, a Cannondale bike, salsa lessons at the YMCA, or drown it all at Magnolia Haven Memory Care, where nurses would call him sweetheart while changing Depends under Days of Our Lives. The computer's aquarium screensaver winked blue light. Reaching for the mouse, he knocked over his stone-cold Folgers. The brown puddle crawled toward his tax documents, merging with lamplight shadows. He grabbed a bounty towel but froze. An email notification blinked like a cop car's strobe. Jacobs and Wright Consulting. Urgent. Riverbend Project Consensus. The chest pain hit like a medicine ball from his YMCA days. His nitro pill rolled beneath the lazy boy as he gripped the desk. Notifications dissolved into Surratt dots. The digital fish suddenly grew grotesque O-shaped mouths. Edvard Munch meets Finding Nemo. Breathe. His mother's asthma attack mantra from '67 whispered through him. Build the bridge. Each girder, a breath. He squeezed his eyes shut, conjuring the Winooski River Bridge near Stowe. Steel expanded in July heat, suspension cables humming like orchestra strings. Somewhere in those Vermont foothills, Elaine might be watching the same storm clouds, remembering his fumbled proposal at the 82 County Fair. Somewhere in Seattle, pixie-cut Denise was rolling her eyes at another Starbucks customer confusing lattes with cappuccinos. The Marietta, Georgia email materialized between Viagra ads and a Ford F-150 maintenance reminder. Hal Anderson, your bridge designs from the '80s make you our top candidate. Later revealing connections through yellowed blueprints. The attached library photo glowed warm. Brick arches, oak card catalogs, a silver-haired librarian in a cornflower blue beret mirroring Mom's '65 yearbook smile. His finger hovered over reply when his knees buckled, dropping him onto blood-smeared linoleum. Blood from his palm wound, courtesy of the desk's sharp edge, swirled with spilled strawberry preserves. Crimson rivulets warped the Life After Concrete brochure's tagline, "Your second act starts here," into Pollock-esque chaos. Harold scooped the stained papers into a heap, breath whistling through clenched teeth. Digital fish continued their endless loop, indifferent to human wreckage. Enough, he rasped at the glowing tank. Enough swimming. Time to break the damn aquarium. His fist crashed through the monitor before budget concerns registered. Glass exploded in a nova of shards, glittering under the Tiffany lamp. Blood snaked down his knuckles, mingling with dying screen pixels where one plucky angelfish hung suspended mid-leap, Scuba Cinderella judging his tantrum. Harold clenched his bleeding hand, watching droplets patter the linoleum like tiny maps of territories he'd never cross. Harold despised moving boxes. Those cardboard cubes screaming, "Fragile," in bold red always lied. Glasses shattered, books got creased, memories leaked through weathered corners. But today, unpacking the final Vermont crate in his Marietta bungalow's living room, he realized cardboard could be a killer. The box reeked of mildew and decades past. In one corner, beside a dried puddle of 1998 Vermont apple cider, his mother's cursive taunted, "For Hal, do not open until 21. He snorted, tracing the yellowed tape with a calloused finger. 59 years old, and this sarcophagus of childhood ghosts still demanded patience. The letter opener trembled in his grip. Harold opted to use his teeth instead, as if wanting to shred the past molecule by molecule. The first envelope fluttered out like November's last leaf. "Hal, forgive," began the writing before his eyes caught up. His vision swam, ink swimming into focus. Elaine. Summer of '83, her fingers brushing his instead of reshelving library books, the whispered promise, We could be more than just an engineer and a school teacher. Then, her sudden move to Montana. The family emergency he'd always suspected was bullshit. The antique lamp flickered, casting jail bar shadows across yellowing stationery. Harold hunched as words crawled under his skin. Test came positive. Dad kicked me out. You were elbow deep in blueprints. His ribs rattled with heartbeat echoes from that long-ago night he'd stood beneath her window clutching a $19.99 Sears engagement ring. A photograph slipped loose, newborn swaddled in lace, a red lollipop resting atop. Purple ink quivered on the back. November 3rd, 1983. Always yours, E. The date clanged like rusty church bells. Exactly 1 year before his mother choked on blood aboard the Atlanta NYC train, gasping about the grandson you're hiding. Holy mother of... The curse dissolved as he shoveled keepsakes back inside. From the folds of a Hawaiian shirt bought for his fresh start, a childish triangle of paper escaped. Star-encircled block letters declared, Grandpa, Mom told me everything, find me, Laura. 114, Peachtree St. N.W. for 5B, Atlanta. P.S. Grandma's ashes are under the overpass. The living room echoed with Bridges collapsing. Harold collapsed against laminate flooring, his Georgia Bulldog's tee clinging to sweat-slick skin. Blood roared louder than neighborhood lawnmowers as his brain scrambled timelines. Dad dying on Mayo Clinic's 9th floor. Mom's midnight whisper calls. This damn address. The bulb buzzed him back to reality. Crawling toward the kitchen, fingers scraping drywall, he found only Dasani and Kroger eggs in the stainless steel fridge. Iced water trickled down his collar as the calendar magnet slapped him. Town and Country Realty's giveaway circling November 3rd. Overpass renovation meeting. No goddamn way. His grip cracked the glass. 36 years to the day since Mom collapsed clutching some stranger baby's photo. He'd chalked her ramblings to stroke dementia, but now the puzzle showed a face with Elaine's dimples. Sunlight blinked out like someone pulled the day's plug. Harold stumbled through box forest darkness. When lights flared, he stood in the bedroom clutching a Georgia map, red sharpets circling the overpass zone, an arrow stabbing Ash's interment co-protocol. Dad. The whisper bounced off barren walls. Squatting through arthritic protests, he remembered 98, Mom ranting about that bastard choosing his own grave when Dad's urn vanished. Now Jacobs and Wright's 2001 memo taped to the map explained, legacy employees honored through infrastructure memorials. 40-year company man Dad became rebar in the bridge his son was hired to rebuild. Outside, silver-haired laughter rolled by, retirees with a Trader Joe's wine cart. Harold pressed against chilly glass watching intertwined hands, oak strong. He recoiled into a memories box. The first photo stole breath. 5-year-old in a miniature cowboy hat riding shoulders worn by Harold's face with a stranger's smile. Back. Laura and Papa, 88, Rio Grande Overpass. The gap-toothed grin mirrored Elaine's. Harold popped knuckles sinking to carpet. All these years, his blood carried forward in some girl inheriting his stubborn jaw. The phone shrilled, robotic Hindi accent pitching Toyota warranties. Harold stared at Ford keys dangling Atlanta's City in Motion tag. God damn it. First audible curse in 59 years. Jacket seized. The garage reeked of rust-oleum and revelation. GPS cursed. Google labeling 114 Peachtree some addiction counseling center. Sweat-stained hands gripped wheel as the F-150 lurched forward. From the glove box tumbled a Jacobs and Wright envelope, HR's note fluttering. Mr. Anderson, we trust memorializing Mr. Anderson Sr. in the overpass brings closure. Atlanta's bridges loomed like dinosaur bones. Harold veered onto the overpass shoulder, cab light flashing across face that finally understood solitude's a choice. His shaking thumb dialed the retrieved number. Jacobs and Wright, how may I direct your call? Put me through to whoever sent me here. The whisper nearly died. Before hanging up, he heard laughter. Low, warm, precisely Elaine's 1983 cadence. Harold fidgeted with the business card bearing Marietta City Council's logo, gold letters proclaiming Marjorie Whitman, historical consultant. The viaduct meeting started in 17 minutes, the conference room's drop ceiling pressing on his skull like a concrete slab. Adjusting his tie, he clenched a nitroglycerin vial, his heart hammered like a thief caught mid-heist. "Let's keep it visionary, Mr. Anderson," developer Mrs. Kerrigan snorted, arranging plastic excavator toys on the scale model. "No engineer jargon." He nodded, eyes darting to the door. Marjorie would walk in, clutching archive folders full of arguments against demolition, possibly carrying his past in her DNA. Last night he'd compared photos, her newspaper headshot to that infant portrait from county records. The left cheek dimple matched to a fraction of an inch. "Your expertise with trust systems is invaluable." A backslap made him jump. Mental calculations continued. Elaine's ear shape, his own hooded eyes, the telltale elbow mole he'd spotted in Marjorie's Facebook vacation pics, the family equation he feared solving. The door burst open, autumn leaves swirling around a woman in a tweed blazer. Marjorie carried her binder like armor, heels clicking Morse code across linoleum. Harold stared at her ring finger. No wedding band, just a pale line where one had been. The 1891 preservation statutes, her voice tight as overstrung piano wire, explicitly prohibit altering original support beams without historical review. Harold cleared his throat, arthritic knee throbbing in time with her citations. He wondered if her laugh mirrored Elaine's, if she'd ever thrown oatmeal cookies at him as a toddler. Instead, she quoted zoning bylaws, stabbing blueprints with a mechanical pencil. "Hartfield Steel's 1889 alloy has unique—" Marjorie faltered mid-sentence, noticing him finger the locket containing Elaine's hair, untouched since '83. The silence shattered as the door screeched. "Lordy, Hal, trick or treat!" Cousin Loretta from Idaho barged in, waving a family secrets folder, her polyester pantsuit reeking of Pall Malls. "Ring any bells?" She slammed a printout titled "Viaduct Site Waste Disposal" on the table. Harold rose slowly, gripping the table edge. The Jacobs and Wright memo clearly described toxic dumping beneath bridge pylons, a project he'd never sanctioned before resigning. Loretta smirked, bad teeth gleaming. "100K keeps me from telling soccer moms their kiddos play on radioactive sand. Well, hero?" Marjorie's chair screeched backward, her face granite. Harold's pulse became a subwoofer thrum. He lunged, but his knee buckled, sending him grabbing a fake rose arrangement. "You're blackmailing family?" Marjorie's voice trembled, eyes sparking. Loretta cackled, swigging gin from a flask. "Family? Hal's daddy thought my mama was a frat party mistake. But you, sweetheart—" She jabbed a nicotine-stained finger. "Must be another bastard brat." Blueprint letters swam. Harold collapsed into his chair, gulping air as someone shoved a nitro pill under his tongue. Marjorie's hands undoing his collar. Loretta's whiskey breath hit his ear. "Wouldn't want Junior here learning Grandpa poisoned her favorite bridge?" Junior electrocuted him. Harold shoved helpers away, rising unsteadily. Marjorie clutched her binder, gaze darting between them like reassembling shattered glass. "My reports," she whispered. "Soil samples. Showed toxins. I thought modern pollution. Daddy Dearest's company buried crap here for decades." Loretta waved documents. "How's that for an Instagram story?" Harold stood, pain and fury merging. "I'll demand full EPA investigation. Remediation costs." Loretta snorted, stuffing papers into a Walmart tote. "Good luck in court, Boy Scout. 1 week." The door slammed. Marjorie retreated like a spooked doe, hand on the exit. "Marjorie," he reached out. "So you, and my—" She swallowed hard. "Is it true?" Blood burst capillaries, reddening his vision. Harold nodded, handkerchief staining from bitten lip. She fled, lavender sachet scent lingering with unasked questions. Her spilled documents revealed handwritten notes. Sector 4A soil, lead, cadmium, uranium. Hands shaking, he recalled his father's chemical-scented suits, those bridge inspections in Marietta. Arthritis flared as he grabbed blueprints. A Bengay tube fell from his pocket, ointment soaking through aging schematics. Beneath the smear, his mother's handwriting emerged. Son, I knew he took her there. Be careful when you find the bridge. His flip phone buzzed. Marjorie's voice cracked. I need air quality tests near the viaduct. The elementary school, leukemia cases. Pause. You mentioned truth trumps cover-ups, he exhaled, touching Laura's locket photo. Even if it collapses everything. Pen scratched across EPA forms when window tapping interrupted. Marjorie stood with soil test kits, wind-burned cheeks blazing. Mom, Elaine, passed last winter. She avoided his gaze. Lung cancer. Her house backed onto Jacobson Wright's Toledo plant. The floor tilted. He offered the locket. Elaine's strand now neighbored a newborn curl labeled Laura 1965. Their fingers brushed during the exchange. Generations bridged by poison. We'll fix this, she whispered, eyes showing unfamiliar hunger, a daughter excavating her father from landfill lies. He nodded tears into his scarf. Below the viaduct, wind scattered soil samples toward the river, cradling his father's remains and career sins. Between corrosion reports and rusted girders, new truth emerged, delicate as spider silk, strong as properly load-rated steel. The demolition was set for dawn. Harold stood at the edge of the crumbling overpass that would soon be reduced to jagged rubble. His hands shook not from the morning chill, but from the leather-bound journal he'd found in Marjorie's coat pocket. The last page bore a haiku in her looping script. Blood outlasts steel. Roots grow deeper than concrete. Dawn cracks the foundation. His wristwatch alarm beeped. 5:47 a.m. 13 minutes until the charges would reduce his father's legacy to dust. Harold trailed his fingers along a corroded steel beam, the century-old rust biting into his fingertips. Somewhere in these metal arteries, his father had buried more than toxic waste. The truth about Elaine, his mother, and the family fracture that still bled. Mr. Anderson, crews locked and loaded. The demolition's chief's voice crackled from the radio on his belt. Harold didn't answer. His gaze caught on graffiti beneath the arch, a child's stick-figure family holding hands. The paint had peeled, but their yellow smiles remained vivid. Did teenage Marjorie stand here, leaning against this railing, dreaming of saving this bridge as cancer ate her mother's? Stop! Don't go there. He reopened the journal. Beneath the haiku, Marjorie had scribbled an equation. Lead plus water. Timed catastrophe. Last night's soil tests confirmed it. Blowing the supports would poison the aquifer. But stopping the demolition now meant corporate collapse, losing everything, including his daughter's fragile trust. Boss, shelter's ready. A worker extended a hard hat like an offering. Harold nodded, adjusting his glasses. His heartbeat thundered against his ribs. Demolition or genocide? My father's choice. But am I any better? En route to the bunker, his eye caught a rusted file cabinet in the construction trailer. A folder labeled 1981 Archives peeked from beneath blueprints. He tore open the dusty seal. Inside, photos of his father embracing Elaine by a brick warehouse. The back read in shaky script, "If Hal discovers the baby, the project fails. Forgive me, love." Beneath lay waste disposal reports and a receipt from Magnolia Haven Clinic addressed to Lauren. Dad paid for her silence? Harold braced against the trailer wall as the ground seemed to tilt. Movement flashed in his periphery. Marjorie climbed into the excavation pit with a soil sampler. She checked her watch, face contorting. 8 minutes left. Marge! He stumbled over gravel, arthritis clenching his knee like vice grips. Workers froze at their detonators as he limped forward. Abort the sequence! Marjorie stood frozen near a corroded radiation barrel at the pit's edge. Dad! Her whisper carried brutal clarity. Her eyes blazed with fury and desperate hope. Harold approached holding the photo evidence like a truce flag. He hid you from me, but your grandmother? She tried to save us all. He extended the snapshot of Elaine cradling an infant by the overpass. Marjorie's trembling fingers smudged the aged print. Why now? Fear takes root like steel. He tapped her journal. But I'll rip it out, even if the sky falls. Sirens wailed. 3 minutes, someone shouted. Marjorie gripped his sleeve. Blow the bridge and you murder the watershed. Dad. She stumbled on the word. Papa! Harold's heart skipped. He lunged for the detonation console, elbow-smashing controls. Abort! Evacuate! System's hot! The crew chief pointed to the flashing timer, 01:45. Marjorie scanned the radiation pit, then the kids skipping stones downstream, her jaw set. Blueprints show if we blow support column D12 first, the shockwave redirects into the ridge. She grabbed bolt cutters and descended. You're not an engineer. Harold followed, ignoring his screaming knee. Your daughter, though. She didn't look back. The subterranean air reeked of iron oxide and dread. Marjorie jammed a crowbar under the barrel's valve, moving with inherited precision. Harold, recalling his mechanical engineering textbooks, found the emergency release. Seconds disintegrated. Pull! Marjorie screamed at Euro 30. They scrambled uphill as the blast erupted. The overpass groaned sideways like a drunken titan, dust swallowing the sky. Control towers, gone! Marjorie spat out grit. Harold saw the tear cutting through dirt on her cheek. He reached to wipe it just as workers swarmed them with questions. Later, as crowds dispersed, he asked, How'd you know about the valve? Mom. Taught me during chemo before. She produced an envelope stamped Magnolia Haven. Came today. His mother's final letter, dated the day she died. Inside, $150,000 in matured utility bonds from 1985, willed to the granddaughter who draws bridges in sidewalk chalk. Treatment, medicine, a fighting chance. I suck at receiving gifts, Marjorie whispered, clutching the art supplies Harold had saved since her childhood. He dipped a brush in rainwater, tracing her profile on the rusted beam. The paint bloomed like dawn through steel. Starving artists a myth, he said, almost believing it. Below, children laughed by the newly formed falls where the river embraced the blast zone. Marjorie leaned into his shoulder, their silence echoing louder than any demolition.